Welcome to Culture Beast.
God, it's been a long time.
It's been a little bit.
It's been, I think, too long.
Yeah, when was the last time we recorded? 2 months ago?
Long ago, in the land of the man.
In a distance far, far away.
In a land far, far away. In a different time, really. We recorded in a different time.
When dinosaurs ruled the earth.
Well, you know, we weren't quite with the dinosaurs, but it was very cold for the Ice Age, you understand. How you doing?
Good.
You look good.
Thank you.
Got Rotiform shirt, Stansworks cap.
Target shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the Hue Summer Big Sky Chic, is what I call it. Hue Chic.
Hue Chic.
Yeah, because I've got the loafers, the skinnies, and the t-shirt, which I like.
It's great. It's a good fit.
It's fun. It is a good fit. Mm-hmm. I've lost some weight. I've gained some muscle because I'm working out, eating better, dropping lighters because I'm nervous. I haven't done this in a minute.
Yeah.
And so like things fit differently.
Yes.
So like my shirt fits spot on. Mm-hmm. My pants I had to pull up every 5 minutes.
Yeah. Which
is
great.
You know, it's a whole thing.
So we at Culture Beast practice what we preach. And you've stepped into some new positions culturally. Tell us about that.
So I've left my position in Big Sky of Newman Restoration, and I stepped into a beverage management position, which is kind of part of what I bring to Culture Beast is the alcohol beverage portion. You bring the coffee beverage portion, which I'm still learning, as was shown to me in Big Sky when you showed up yesterday. At the restaurant that I work at, Paul dialed in our grinder and our espresso machine, and it was really cool to watch you work. And the other employees kind of hovered because they were like, what is he doing? And I'm like, he's making it better. Leave him alone.
That one guy's like, the switch is on the side. I was like, when I was trying to pull a shot of coffee.
I know. And you're like, no, I know. I've been there. I know.
Appreciate it, bro. Yeah, thank you.
High five. You know. And then I bartended at a really cool like 1930s Hollywood style Art Deco place called The Standard.
Yeah.
And it's so great.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's so much fun.
I had the bee's knees when I was there.
Yeah, I had an aviation.
Mm-hmm. And what was the drink that you made me at the...
you had a gin gimlet at Acre. Yeah. And I had
First
a glass
time I had
of
one
wine.
of those was here on the podcast.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah. So, good stuff.
Yeah, so culturally I am stepping into more what I love, my field, if you were, what I'm passionate about, what I'm good at. And the next thing...
Yes.
Would be these guys.
Yeah.
So speaking of, what you got there?
Doing the Sweet Jane.
You love that Sweet Jane.
So, to your influence, I got the humidor season. Learned how to do that.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm trying to keep it stocked, and so now that I rebuilt my garage, so as everybody's kind of see, it's I spent the winter redoing the whole thing, and
he's got a car in here.
Yeah. Turns out I can fit 2 cars in here. So,
wow, which is impressive. I mean, it's a longer garage, too.
Yeah. So repainted the whole thing and can watch movies out here and have cigars. So
it looks great. Thanks. Which we need to do. We haven't done that yet.
No.
But we will.
I've done it a few times.
I haven't, and I'm coming back.
I need to get my internet connection kind of figured out. So
my parents, and this might not be the time to talk about it, but my parents have these little boxes that plug into the outlets all over the house, and they're boosters.
Yeah.
So maybe
I have one. Oh. It just doesn't boost. A
booster that doesn't boost?
It boosts.
Sacrilege.
It boosts. It doesn't boost.
It boosts. Well,
what are you smoking over there?
Takes all kinds. So I'm smoking a local favorite, the Bitterroot from Big Sky Tobacco Company, or Big Sky Cigar Company, sorry. And the Bitterroot is one they came out, it's their most recent release. Now we've had the Madison on the show. But the Bitterroot for me is, I think, their best blend.
Really?
It's lighter than the Madison, but it's so good. It's so poignant. It's so intentional, if you will. And we all know how you are about, and I am about intentionality.
I just realized there's two firsts on Culture Beast tonight.
Wow.
We're both wearing t-shirts. That's one.
Yeah,
and we're both having like a drink and a cigar that is locally made. Well, you're having a drink that's locally made. Because
we're drinking Undammed, their bourbon.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
We are.
Yes. Well,
That's from South Dakota.
Right.
It's a neighbor.
Which is close. Yeah.
Yeah, Deadwood. Yeah. It's close.
Yeah.
Ish.
It's kind of like on Full House. Like the neighbor, he's there, but you don't see the full thing.
Okay, so that was
not
Tool
Full
Time.
House.
It was Tool Time.
That wasn't Tool Time.
It was because Wilson with the
but the show's not called Tool Time.
No, it's Home Improvement.
Home Improvement. He got home in there.
Tool Time. Right? Yeah, there's home. He got home, and there needs to be some improvement.
And it's a full house.
Yeah, it's a full. Yeah, especially with Wilson looking over there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was so dumb.
Should we?
Yeah, let's. I love that we're both using our own cutters and our own lighters. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Sweet Janes are so good.
You love them. Mm-hmm. So I have a plug.
Okay.
And there's an actual cigar lounge, private cigar lounge, outside of Four Corners, called Timberline Cigar Lounge.
Interesting.
And it's in an old Airstream. Okay? So they take this Airstream, they put a ton of money and renovations into it, and they make it a cigar lounge. It's got smoke eaters, vents, heat, cooling, a humidor inside, the whole nine. So I've been spending a lot of time there because it's 30 minutes away from my house. It's a place to smoke. The owner and I have become really good friends.
That's awesome.
And I told him about Deadwood Tobacco Company, and he actually, on his last cigar order, brought in the Leather Rose.
Oh, wow. Good for him. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a good one, huh?
It's so good. I encourage you to get one.
Yeah, I will.
They're at Stogie's in town, which is where Big Sky Cigar Company is located. That's their HQ, if you will. They purchased Stogie's from Pam and Scott, like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, 2 years ago, something like that. But this Bitterroot, and that's the flower you look for.
Okay.
The flower you look for. It's a fantastic, medium-bodied, just run like all-around smoke.
Huh.
Like everyday kind of running smoke.
Sure.
And I'm a big fan of it.
Interesting.
It's probably, I think the Madison's delicious.
Yeah.
I think this is a little better.
Which one's that one?
The Bitterroot.
Bitterroot, yeah.
See, it's got the little.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I have a hard time with things labeled Big Sky. So,
I know you do. Well, we talked about that episodes ago about Big Sky and Magic City and the rims.
Granite, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and Big Sky's the same way.
Sure.
It's Big Sky this, and Lone Mountain this, and Moonlight this, and Yellowstone Club this. And it's all the same stuff. Or, like, my favorite is Big Sky Real Estate Company, Big Sky Resort, Big Sky Vacation Rentals, Big Sky Taco Bus, like all Big Sky everything.
Big Sky Insurance, Big Sky.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know where I am.
I
know where I am. Like, well, it's like here when you see like Billings Best Barbers,
right?
Billings Petroleum Club,
right?
Billings this, Billings that. No shit, Chief.
We're here.
No shit, Chief. I'm so glad to be back. I'm so glad I get to say shit on camera.
That's right. Yeah, so it's gonna be kind of all over the map because it's good because we don't really have
it's impromptu,
structure.
Which I feel like it's resulted in some of our best podcasts.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I'm gonna dive right in.
Dive right in.
I'm wearing a T-shirt. So I want to talk about fashion a little bit.
Okay.
I have found 30's been the best year of my life.
Right, I agree.
Like, I am having so much fun. I'm really learned a lot about myself. And this kind of like hidden socks, okay, loafers, nice Italian loafers, skinny jeans, a T-shirt. Like, that's kind of been my summer trend.
Yeah.
You know, I switch out the loafers, switch out the T-shirt. I wear hats occasionally.
Yeah, when I saw you yesterday, you were wearing boots.
I was wearing
Johnny Cash. No.
I was wearing monk straps.
Yeah.
Darker skinny jeans, and a Led Zeppelin, a band shirt, band T-shirt. You know,
killed it.
Yeah, and I love that. Like, it's a new realm for me.
Yep.
And I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I still do button-ups and stuff, but like,
sure.
when I bartend at the Standard, I'll do, like slacks, a button up, and a vest, and like my straw hat, and some loafers. Classed up a little bit. But it's been really fun to get into my own style.
Yeah.
Like, because it's a bit of me.
Yeah.
It's a bit of me. It's a bit of me.
Right.
But it's all different.
Right.
Yeah. I love that.
It's so fun.
I love that.
Yeah, it's good that I went through that kind of renaissance like at the beginning of my 30s.
That's a good word for it.
It is
Renaissance. The renaissance.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Because it's taking, like there's good parts of each season that you've kind of been in, And I went through a phase where I was like very, very, I don't know, a lot of button-ups, some loafers, like kind of that kind of style. But it didn't really quite like measure up. So like I didn't feel exactly comfortable. I felt like I was trying to impress somebody.
Yeah.
Whereas I kind of reverted back to some of that same style, but with like skate or BMX kind of influence into it.
Yeah. Which is you.
So, yeah, which is me. I don't have just one thing. Kind of like my car collection.
Yeah.
Right now.
You don't have just one thing. You don't.
Yeah.
It's very all over the board, and now includes a motorcycle. A working, running motorcycle, ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got some issues, but
Well, don't we all? I drive a '93 Lexus. You don't tell me.
But the motorcycle looks great.
It's so great. I love that yellow headlight.
I couldn't get it out of my mind.
And you do it.
I don't know
love
if it was
that.
because I was working on here and I just kept seeing the yellow dots in.
Yeah.
But
Which needs to stay yellow. I hope you keep
gonna.
the patina.
It's not gonna.
No.
I'm changing it.
You're not keeping the patina?
No.
It's my favorite part of the car. What are you gonna do?
So I was gonna keep it just the way it was, and just put an engine in and drive it. And I was just not excited about the car at all, And then I kind of got this idea for the car in my mind, the car that I want to build, And then I started to actually enjoy the project, and got excited. I got some motivation for it.
Well, yeah, it's in here versus out there.
Yeah.
That's a huge step.
Which is why it got brought in here, because I started to have vision for it, So the idea is to do, it's like a sort of a mint green that came on the Silvias.
Okay.
It's like a silver mint.
I'm a sucker for an old car in mint green. Old Mercedes and mint green look mint.
Yeah.
Mint.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's like a mint metallic that they sold the Silvias in. So that
I know the color you're talking about. I do. Yeah.
So that color on this car with black flares, and then like a gold BBS sort of a wheel, with just like so classy.
I like mint and silver and chrome. I don't know if I like the mint and gold. I haven't seen that yet, so I'm excited to see that.
I think it's that one color, because I want to do like the wood steering wheel. That would
you have to.
And then like a more tan leather sort of, not tan leather.
Well, if you're going to paint the car, I'd paint it now. Because nothing's attached to it.
Right. Yeah. So
I'd paint it now and then do all the other stuff you want to do to it.
Yeah. So I took off the body kit on the rear, found a bunch of rust underneath it. So I got to figure out that.
Well, that's some sheet metal, but it's not ideal. But it's not.
Sure.
Is it pretty bad?
There's spots that are bad, but I don't think it's unrepairable. I'm not going to do the quarter panel replacement, but
no.
But so I need to have the time to push it out front, do the fenders, to cut off the moldings from the front fenders.
You're going to take the wide body off? Really?
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Well, I'm going to do over fenders back on it, but
okay.
if I don't take off the fronts, then I have to find something to match the rears.
And that's just that's just a whole different ball game. So
that's kind of the game plan of that. But I was so busy this summer, like we're working 50-hour weeks all summer, so all my life just kind of stacked up against itself, so I haven't had the time. So like this has been put on the lower priority, So I literally bought a new car because I didn't have the time to fix my rabbit.
And what did you get?
I got a Yaris. Yeah, I got a
Toyota Yaris.
2010 Yaris.
And you love it.
I
love it. It's cool, man.
I was like...
It's a little go-kart.
Yeah. Since having my Tundra, You know, it's been a great truck. You know, I'm like, why
Yeah.
am I not just driving Toyotas?
Well,
You
because
know?
Toyotas are great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Lexus guy.
Yeah, which is Toyota.
Yeah,
The same
Toyota.
engine
It's-
that's in the
it's a-
Lexus is in my Tundra.
Yeah, that 4-liter. Yeah.
Same engine.
Well, it's a little bit. So I'm pretty sure yours is a 4.2 liter. Mine's a 4-liter. So yours is the generation after mine.
Sure.
But still the same design.
Right, right.
And they're great running motors, man.
Yeah, my Tundra has 220,000 miles on it. You know,
And it runs like a top.
Yeah, it runs great. So,
And it's funny because my father had that same body style, same engine.
yeah.
And he had his like 12 years.
And he stacked 1 million miles on it, right?
I think he sold it at 160,000.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. His was 2-wheel drive.
Oh,
And he had it in like 4 or 5 years in Montana. And
yeah.
worked great. Put a little weight in the back. It worked great. Now, I will say the body style after this one is my favorite Tundra.
Same.
Oh,
Yeah, I love that.
the new ones are garbage.
I don't mind.
However, the new ones that's coming out that they're basing off that new Land Cruiser that we can't get.
Oh, really?
Have you seen them?
I haven't seen I haven't seen the photos.
I'm gonna make this happen for you if
I know
my
I saw
phone allows.
like Toyota had put out a little teaser of that they were bringing a new.
Oh
truck.
no, I ashed on myself. So in 2022, they're redoing, which they haven't redone the Tundra in. I mean,
10
it's
years.
been a long time.
Yeah, because it came
because
out.
it worked.
Yeah.
People loved it. But if it looks anything like this, which is what they're saying, it's loading, I'm sorry. If it looks anything like this, and this is what they're saying it's going to look like.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. It's absolutely wonderful.
It's stunning. It's bold, it's new, and it's aggressive for a Toyota.
Well, their whole lineup is super aggressive right now, which is super cool. You know, I
Dude,
mean,
what is that? It's their tiny little
Forerunner.
crossover hatch. The
Oh,
HRV,
the CHR.
CHR.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
it's mean
cool.
looking.
Yeah.
It's urban looking.
Yeah.
I love that.
And there's a company in Japan that makes a body kit for it called This, and it looks so good. It's like a little bigger Corolla. You know?
Yeah. All-wheel drive, off-roading style Corolla.
Yeah.
And I honestly like the look of that better than I like the new RAV.
But the new RAV looks great too.
The new RAV, the off-road version.
Yeah. Yeah. Their whole lineup, even the Sienna. The Sienna looks fantastic.
It looks mean.
When you see it driving down the road, you look at it.
Oh, it's good.
You know what I mean?
Here's the kicker for me, though, and I'm not a hatch guy. You know this. My favorite car Toyota makes at this moment, that's just Toyota, not a Lexus, because my favorite Lexus is the
GRERs.
RC. It's the GRER.
Yes.
It's so amazing.
Yes.
3-cylinder.
Yeah. All-wheel drive turbo.
Yeah, and it's nuts.
Yeah.
You know who just bought one?
Everybody.
James
Everybody
May.
in the UK. Oh, yeah.
James May just bought one. And the new Toyota, what is that? It's like the successor of the Century, but it's like their version of like the Lexus LS.
Oh.
But it's a Toyota.
Interesting.
I forget what it's called, but he just bought one. He has a whole video on Drive Tribe about how he's nerding out about it. And I love that. He also released a gin.
Oh, really?
He just released a gin.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, he did. Because he loves gin. And so he just worked with, I forget the company's name, but he just worked with a company and he released his own gin.
We need it.
We do.
Do you know where to get it?
Yeah.
Where?
I'm a beverage manager. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, there you go.
This
Good
is
point.
good.
It's really good.
Alan does such a good job.
The great thing about Alan, so Alan is a very particular guy, like very, very particular, and he's
I gathered that from him.
smart. He worked.
I also gathered that
He worked
from
for NASA at one point in his life.
No kidding.
Yes.
Isn't he a pastor?
He was a former pastor. Yeah, he pastored the Vineyard Church for a long time.
Wow.
He was my pastor, my mentor for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
NASA.
NASA. Yeah, he worked on the Magellan Project.
No, he didn't. That's crazy to
Yes.
me.
Yes. But
Working from the Magellan-
You taste this and it makes sense.
Well, I haven't licked the Magellan probe or
Well,
anything.
no, but I mean like all like the detail and like the intentionality, you know.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. Thank you for that. How's your Sweet Jane?
It's perfect. It's great. It's a great combination.
This is a good combination, too. I really want you to try one of these.
I will. Next time. Yeah.
Forgot he didn't like cooties.
I don't. Yeah, I hate
No, he
cookies.
didn't like cooties. So what I'm interested in recently is, again, student of trends. We've talked about this, history and trends is kind of a student of. And I found myself looking at these cars from 2020. And the car I decided to focus on was the Tacoma.
Okay.
Very wide-selling truck.
Right.
Everybody loves it, especially in Big Sky. It's the truck. It's probably the truck of Big Sky, besides the Yukon.
Sure.
GMC Yukon Denali, the extended one, because that's what everybody has.
And the Land Rover.
And the Expedition.
Yeah.
A lot of Defenders, new Defenders in Big Sky too, but the Tacoma's really it. So I looked at this, and cars that are built in 2020 during the lockdown, because there's less of them, because here's, like, let's say this is the equivalent of like a normal year's car production.
Sure.
Was locked down for 6 to 8 months.
Right.
So we have this many cars.
Right.
Are they going to be worth more because there's less of them because they're 2020? That's a question I've been wondering. And I've been starting to look at that. Are they going to be worth more
Yeah.
because they're 2020?
I could see so.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's less of them.
I mean,
Is it going to be like a collector's thing?
the worst part about Toyota is that they appreciate in value. You know, so like us regular people, like it's a hard time to get into.
The Land Cruisers right now, with 300,000 miles, are 15 to 20 grand.
Yeah.
And they're just going up. I had a 97. I wish to God right now I hadn't have sold that son of a gun.
Yes. They're so expensive. I also had a thought about Toyota. So the 4Runner,
Yeah.
it's its own class.
It's an SUV.
There's nothing that competes with the 4Runner.
Yes, there is. No, because damn. There really isn't.
No.
It's a midsize, it's a smaller SUV. 4-liter, 6-cylinder. Holy shit. The Explorer is really it.
Yeah.
But that's not really, that's an urban warrior.
Yeah. Because
The new ones are great. I
like,
saw one up close when I got pulled over yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, that front plate is becoming an Achilles heel for me.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I got another ticket for that.
Oh, shoot.
Second offense wasn't as pretty as the first offense.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I'm actually going to call them tomorrow and just say, what's it take to get a front plate?
Yeah.
Because I'm really tired of that. Yeah, no, it really is its own, because it's a very capable off-roader.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it's built for off-road.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Expedition or the Explorer is just kind of like, it's not really made for it. You know what I mean?
No.
So like, but I don't know.
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
It's its own class.
Even like the Land Rovers, I think, are made more to compete with.
Well, the Defender could probably be, the new Defender could probably be in the same category. But you're paying, well, nowadays you're paying the same price.
Right.
A new 4Runner's what, 70 grand, 65 grand?
Yeah.
For a 4Runner? And literally, you sell it 3 years later, it's worth 65, 70 grand. Like, it's ridiculous.
But even like the body shape and the way it's structured and the market that it aims towards, like there's no.
It's off-road.
Yeah, it's off-road. You know, and then,
I think the new Bronco's going to change that.
but see, I think the Bronco is more geared towards the four-door Jeeps. I think that's their target audience. You know, they don't care about like 4Runners. They're more worried about. I mean,
That's true. That's true. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it hit me like last month. Like there's like it's in a category of it's an untapped competition.
It's one of the most popular vehicles on the road, the Tacoma and the 4Runner.
And like it seems like nobody's like, oh, well, we're not going to get into the market. You know, I mean, the only thing that's closest is the Defender.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
But
even
based
then,
from an
they-
off-road perspective,
Sure.
it's the closest thing.
Right, but they're not. I mean, yeah, I think they give them. I think it's an SUV, and then comma off-road. You know, it's not like we're
The
building
Defender?
Yeah,
The new Defender was built with off-road in mind. It was built for overland in
Right.
mind. It was built to go several hundred miles in places where humans aren't.
right. And I think it seems like they built it for wealthy people that may or may not use it for that. You know what I mean?
It's basically a 4Runner with a Land Rover badge
Yeah,
because people want the recognition.
sure.
Yeah, I'd still have one of those.
Over a 4Runner?
And for one specific, distinct reason.
Because it comes in British Racing Green?
Two very distinct reasons. Yes.
Because I know you order one with British Racing Green and white Steelies.
Three very distinct reasons. One, you can get it in Steelies. Two, you can get it British Racing Green, you schmuck. Yes, you're right. But three, it comes with a higher powered engine. The 4Runner's biggest downfall is that 4-liter V6. It's a pig.
Yeah.
Same with the Tacoma. The Tacoma gets, as it sits right now, the current Tundra and the current Tacoma, it gets 1 mile per gallon better than the Tundra.
That's crazy.
And it's a whole different engine.
Mm-hmm.
They're at a 4-liter inline or a V6, and the Tundra has a 5.7-liter V8.
And they get like a very...
1 mile to the gallon difference.
That's crazy.
Like,
That's
why?
crazy.
Just get the V8.
I think you can get a 400 in a V8 or a Tundra in a V8.
The Tundra, yes. The Tacoma, you can't.
Well,
The Tacoma is a 4-cylinder. It's actually, as of next year, a turboed 4-cylinder. They're not going to make a V6 anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know about the 4Runner, but the Tacoma, this is the rumor, is that they're not going to make a V6 for it anymore. And the Tundra is going to a V6, twin turbo. Here's the thing that we're seeing with these auto manufacturers. This is good culture beast conversation. Yes. So the EU, European Union, told everybody by 2035, we're not going to do any more petrol engines.
Right.
And everybody but Lamborghini, Ferrari, Bugatti, and Aston went, okay.
Right.
Those 4 guys went, oh, you were serious.
Yeah.
So what's cool about it is that we have these resistance fighters who are like, no.
Yeah.
Lamborghini, their brand new Countach, which is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love it. As a retro mod, as I would say it is, it's a remodel of an old car. I think they killed it. That wedge design, I wish it had horizontal or vertical taillights like the Countach did, like the cubes.
Sure.
But what you see in that is so they're like, we're going to continue to make V12s until you tell us we can't anymore and you start fining us.
Right.
And Aston Martin goes, well, our V12's pretty cool, so we're not going to do that. Ferrari's like, we'll make V8s.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so you have these people that are like, well, resistance. But for the most part, everybody, so you're seeing these equivalent of these engines that we've come to know and love. Like Mercedes used to be able to get the Maybach and the S-Class in a V12. Audi used to be able to get them in a V12.
Right.
Now you're seeing them be V10s, V8s. The new S-Class is offered with a twin-turbo V6.
Right. Right.
So we're seeing these engines. We'll just add turbos. That's everybody's fix. We'll just add turbos. You get the power. I was skeptical.
Yes.
And then Mercedes came out and they said, we have an inline 4 that we're getting 400 horsepower out of.
Right.
If you can give me a high revving, 400 horsepower, 4-cylinder engine, I'll buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it is as quick and as responsive and as twitchy as a twin-turboed V6, which is twin-turboed inline 6 is one of my favorite motors from the Supra and the Skyline and, the R33, the R32, the R34. At the M3, the E46 from the early 2000s. Like those, that was a great time for inline 6s.
Yep.
Mercedes has now gone back from a V6 to an inline 6 because you get more torque.
Sure.
If you can give me a good motor, that's a 4-cylinder with twin turbo, inline 4, whatever, I'll buy it.
Right.
Here's the kicker. You cannot, there's a power cap because you only have 4 of those little things.
Yeah.
What if, and even tuning them, even boring them out, like, you look at Sharkworks and Rod Emery and these guys that are doing boring out with Porsches, and, you look at, I forget the Alpha company that does it. You can bore it out, but only so much because there's just 4 of them.
Right.
What's going to happen? So this is what I've been thinking about lately. Having said all that, are we going to lose big engine motorsport?
Yeah. Probably.
NASCAR's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
NASCAR's gone. Back in the day, this might be surprising for some of our younger viewers, Back in the day, Formula One used to use V12s. And
What do they use now? I don't even know.
high output, high revving inline sixes or inline fours, I think.
Are they? I have no idea.
Well, and a lot of them they're looking at hybrid technology.
Right.
That's a feature.
Yeah, the other side that I see of like the twin turbo thing is like we saw what Audi did with all-road and twin turbos. They were garbage.
Yes.
You know? Like, no, you do not buy them, you know? And they showed
They're
us.
still making it.
Right.
It's like, what are you doing?
So, like, soon, you know, we're going to have all of these cars. If they're anything like what Audi built, then we're going to have all these cars that nobody wants because the engines were garbage, you know? So then what do we do? You know, then what do we buy?
Well, as an enthusiast, I think we're going to see an uptick in imported cars. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see an uptick in people taking crate motors like the 350 LS, which is bulletproof, all the way up to the 502 crate motor,
Right.
the 392 Hemi, which you can get in a crate now. You can get that Elephant, that 800 horsepower huge monstrosity in a crate now.
Yeah.
You can get a 392 Hemi Jeep motor crate from Walmart now. I'm not kidding. It's on their website. It's on their website.
That's amazing.
We're going to see a lot more transplanting. And that's what I love about motorsport and car enthusiasts is that all these governments and all these regulations, the EPA, the global warming, climate change, whatever political party you believe in, we're seeing this squash of the big cylinder engine, the big block,
Right.
the V8s. And I'm a fire-breathing Snarlin V8 guy. You know, we've talked about this.
Yep.
I think we're going to see a kind of resistance. Like, I think an underground resistance of motorsport enthusiasts
Yeah.
who are going to say, no, I'm going to take this 350 out of this C4 Corvette and I'm going to stick it in my new BMW.
Yeah. And then it's like, well, what do we do for gas? You know, like smuggle gas, make gas in our bathtubs,
Dude,
or what?
it's going
You
to
know
be
what I
Mad
mean?
Max up in this bitch.
It really is.
Oh, and now we're explicit, just like that. No, but it is. It's going to be a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's a weird future coming up.
Boris Johnson, the PM, Prime Minister of England, came out and said, in 2035, we are going to heavily tax and heavily fine any car entity that creates a petrol engine.
That's jacked up.
Do you know what Jeremy Clarkson said?
Screw that.
He said, in 2034, I should buy 10 new cars. But like, that's what I'm saying. There's this, because as petrol heads, in America, gearheads, petrol heads, we are going to be kind of this now outlaws, if you will.
Right.
Because we're going to say, no, we're going to take this four-cylinder, this hybrid, or this electric motor out.
Right.
And I'm going to put a 350 out of I'm going to put a Coyote 5-liter out of a 2015 Mustang in my 2030 Audi S4.
Yeah. Have you followed Rich Rebuilds on YouTube?
No, you've told me about them time and time again.
Yes.
I have not.
So he's doing a V8 powered Tesla.
You told me about that.
Yes.
Is that the same guy that did the Prius? That was like a V8? There's a Prius running around out there with a V8.
Yeah, that debuted in SEMA in like a long time ago.
Okay, well, I'm old. Sometimes it takes me a minute to remember this
But
stuff.
you're right. So it's actually debuting at SEMA. I caught up on their episodes just the other day. But it's cool what they're doing is, so he took a couple employees from Tesla that know Tesla, know the systems, and the car functions.
We almost have to with those cars.
Yeah.
There's so many software things that are important to the car.
We're going to have, the car industry is going to go from mechanics to electricians. You know?
And electrical engineers.
Yeah.
From mechanical engineers. We're going to see a huge shift. I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah, because it's two totally different mindsets.
It's two different worlds.
It's two different worlds. Yeah, what are all the mechanics?
I can rebuild an engine. I cannot rewire a car.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
I can't put together a
It's math.
motherboard. You know.
Yeah, if I did, I'd redo my own fucking ECU in that Lexus.
Yeah, but either way, so this Tesla, it functions as a Tesla that has a V8 in it. So like the navigation works, like the seats work, like
So it's everything that you'd want from a Tesla
And a
with the
V8.
power of the V8. I don't know if that's the car I'd do it to.
yeah, I don't know either, but
Because
I
Tesla has this amazing, they're special. And I hate electric cars. I've come on this podcast time and time again against electric cars. I think they're garbage. I think they're stupid. I drove a Tesla recently, and I loved it.
yeah.
It was so fast. I put my foot down, and literally my eyeballs went to the back of my head.
Yeah.
It was unreal.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game of instant power.
Yep.
Now, in motorsport, that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
But the enthusiast, like, I don't want to start my, let's say my rat rod, because I've always wanted to build a rat rod.
Right.
And have it go.
Uh-huh.
I want it to go, blah, 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 blah. You know, I want to snarl and pop and crackle.
Yeah, even the last, was it the last WRC or the one before this one? They one of the, I think Citroen had a couple electric rally cars there.
There's the last one.
And it was just like, it just came
Wasn't the same.
and went.
Well, it's like when people talk about Formula E, they go and spectate, and they,
Yeah, we can have this conversation as the cars drive by.
yeah,
You
and
know what
I
mean?
want my Formula One car to rev at 13,000 RPMs as it goes by me.
Exactly.
I want Lewis Hamilton to not hear me yell Lewis Hamilton.
Right.
Not that I
'Cause
like
I think
him.
that's part. I mean, I haven't been to like NASCAR or Formula One.
I've
or
been to
anything like that.
NASCAR and Grand Prix.
Right. And everybody that I've talked to, even like drag racing, you know, like NHRA stuff, part of the
Can you
experience.
imagine if they don't have their monster engines?
Right. Like
You wouldn't go.
the experience is the sound, is the thrill of hearing them.
Is
take
having to
off.
wear earmuffs at an event because you have to.
Right. And so so why would you go? Why would you not just watch it on TV? You know, that's the problem.
And it is going to be a problem. I've changed my ways. I think that polar bears deserve to live. I don't want to put my foot down and knock over penguins. I think it's great that they're there, and
Sure.
good for them. Yay. But I'm not going to go to a Grand Prix race or Le Mans race or a Formula One race or a NASCAR race. Not that I go to a NASCAR race anyway. I'm
Right.
not from the South. And I haven't kissed my cousin.
And you don't wear wife beaters.
I don't either. And I don't drink Bud Light.
Right.
Sometimes you have to take a stance. Anywho, but like I'm not going to go to those things if I can't hear the roar of the engines.
Exactly. Yeah, like the great thing. I don't know if you watched any of the Goodwood Hill Climb this year.
Oh, every year.
Yeah. So they had like the new hybrid WRC car that the Ford. It's not a Polo. I think it is the Ford Polo.
Polo's a Volkswagen.
Well, it's a Ford. Sort of the P. Anyways,
Pinto?
What? No,
Wasn't a
it's not
Pinto.
No, it's definitely not. It's not. If it's not a Polo,
I know what you're
definitely
talking
not
about.
a
I
Pinto.
can't remember what it was called, but I know what
Sure,
you're talking about.
but the announcer, like several times, she was like, and you can still hear the sound. You can still hear the sound. It still makes the sound, you know.
Because
And
she knows.
Yeah, she just drove it home. Like you can still hear the sound of that, you know.
My favorite Goodwood, I mean, we're snaking
That's
here.
how this one is, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
My favorite Goodwood, if I'm honest, and it's every year. I always think there's going to be a car that I like more, but it's that 1903 Fiat Turin, the Beast of Turin.
Yeah.
Because the thing is just and driving it. The guy it's like steering a battleship.
Yeah. The car is against you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I've always loved that. I always time it to where I can watch that car. And Goodwood, people, I think especially American enthusiasts sleep on Goodwood.
Yeah.
Goodwood is where a lot of car manufacturers unveil their new prototypes, their new cars.
Yep.
And it doesn't look it because you just see the hill climb or the racing. The racing's always a great time.
Yep.
But it is a big freaking deal in the
huge deal.
motorsport industry.
Even Lotus. I mean, Lotus was like one of their big sponsors.
Yeah,
And
because they had, 3 new cars? that they unveiled?
Well, they debuted the new Lotus Electric at Goodwood. You know, and they had this whole thing where they put a
And they unveiled their new like sports car there as well. And I think they had 3 cars there.
McLaren debuted a couple cars there
Yep.
too.
And Singer had a car that went up the hill climb, which is the first time that's happened.
I didn't catch that one, but I saw all the rest.
It was their Oxford build, I believe, which is in England. And I think one of the prettier builds they've done.
I'm not familiar with it, but
definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'd love to go to Goodwood.
I'm just gonna bring it up so you know what I'm talking about. Oh, we will. We need to, because it is. I think so. You know, Muslims for their Mecca is quite literally Mecca.
Yeah.
For Catholics, it's the Vatican. You know.
Yeah.
Vatican City. For petrol heads, I think it's SEMA and Goodwood. I think. You know, there's other, like the LA Auto Show, Chicago, New York.
Sure, Geneva.
Yeah, Geneva is a big one. But, yeah, I think that they've really, so let me find the Oxford, because the Oxford, I think, is the best. So it was the Oxford, because that's the Oxford at Goodwood.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a stunning car. I don't know if you can see that. I think it's the prettiest they've built, because it really is purpose. It's an enthusiast car. It's purpose built, but they still didn't skimp, did they?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Gorgeous.
I mean, just
a plaid interior.
Yeah, they really kept it to Oxford. You know, and Oxford is not only a little bit of an uppity town in England, and I'm going to get thrown off the air for saying that, but. It's one of the older colleges in the world. Like it has a lot of pride.
Heritage.
And I think heritage. Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of heritage, a lot of pride in being from there.
Sure.
I think that car encompasses that.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about what they do.
But it's a company that, like Singer, that can actually give a good representation of that heritage. You know, you can trust a company like Singer to do a good job at that. You know.
Yeah. Funny story about Goodwood. A couple years ago, they unveiled the new TVR, which I'm a big TVR fan.
Yeah.
Because they're bonkers. Every car they've ever made is bonkers. They unveiled the new Griffith.
Oh yeah.
Or Griffin, excuse me. And that was the last I heard of it.
Yeah.
And
That's how TVR goes.
I know, and it's a shame, because when I heard TVR was coming back, I was very excited. But my other favorite car from Goodwood this year was the Valkyrie from Aston.
Yeah, that thing was awesome.
It's otherworldly. I mean, it's a whole. And Aston does that. They like every 10 to 15 years they go, we want to show the world what we can do.
Yeah.
And they remind us, not that they're still there, because we know any enthusiast knows that they make some of the most beautiful cars in the world. But they remind us that we've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. What I like
pre-war, they've been doing this.
Yeah.
Like they've been doing this a long. That's what people don't think about. There's not many car manufacturers today that were around pre-World War II.
Sure.
A lot of them happened. All of the Japanese happened after.
Yeah.
All of the a lot of the Germans happened after. After the Berlin Wall fell. But you know what I mean.
Sure.
So you see this, and I love like what Bentley, Rolls-Royce, Aston. These old car manufacturers.
Yeah.
Packard. Delahaye.
Yep.
LaSalle.
Ferrari, Lamborghini.
Well,
they made tractors.
They did, but they didn't make really cars till like the late 40s, early 50s.
Sure.
So I love that these companies that have been around for so long. Also, they just remind us that they've been doing it longer than everybody.
Yeah.
Mercedes is another one.
Yeah, and Volkswagen. Volkswagen's been around for pre-war, right? And they own most of the big companies now. You know what I mean?
Do.
Like they have that staying power.
They do, and Volkswagen to come back from what they came back from, and still be able to do what they do.
Right.
So it's really cool to see that.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like just this little car,
It is a little car.
Yeah, started this whole conglomerate where they own Audi and Porsche and Bugatti.
Well, the
and,
people's car.
Yeah.
The people's car. That's what the Beetle was. The people's car. And before that, they made the Kubelwagen, and all of the, I hate to say it, but the Nazi war vehicles. A lot of them were made by Volkswagen.
Yep.
Volkswagen, and the cool thing about that is they've turned a legacy that wasn't that great into a very successful enterprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they've stood the test of time.
They really have.
Just like Goodwood. Goodwood's been around for a long time.
Right.
And here's something that trips a lot of people up. Without the Beetle, there would be no 911.
Yeah. And without the
Beetle, the best-selling, best-driving sports car ever built. Unwavering for over 50 years.
Yeah.
Would not be if it wasn't for that Beetle sitting out there.
Yeah. And without the 911, it wouldn't, like, other companies wouldn't have seen that and been like, I want to do something like that,
Without the 911, I think, so, when Sputnik was released, it's that Russian satellite.
Oh, yeah.
That orbited the globe.
Yeah.
It kicked off the space race.
Right.
Without the 911, I don't think we would have the caliber of sports car we have today.
No, yeah.
Because that's the pinnacle.
Right. And other companies.
I've been blessed a lot. I've been blessed in my life to drive a lot of sports cars. And Porsche builds the best driving sports cars. They do.
Yeah, it's a driver's car.
It's a driver's car.
Yep.
It's made with a driver in mind. And that's why, they didn't do manuals for like 1 or 2 years and they brought them back.
The great thing that I like about Porsche and Aston Martin is it's two companies that have really stayed in their lane. It's two companies that have like really stuck with like what they do and they do it really well.
Yeah.
As opposed to Ford looks at Chevy, Chevy looks at Ford.
GM laughs at both of them.
Yeah. But they still they're like, oh,
no, GM's made by Chevy's made by GM.
The Hellcat, and then the Ford's
I
like,
should
well,
say Dodge laughs at both of them.
Right.
Because they still hold the fastest coupe, sedan, and SUV title.
But then then Ford looks and like, well, we have the Mustang. What can we do to make it rival that?
Well, they did, because the 2021 GT500 has 830 horsepower.
Right. Which
is nuts.
Whereas, like, who is Aston Martin drawing inspiration from?
Themselves.
Right. Who is Porsche drawing inspiration from? Themselves. They're just doing their thing.
Well, and while it's gotten wider, longer, and lower from the 912 to, I don't know what model they're on now, 992.
I don't think they know what model they're on.
I think it's 992, 993. It hasn't changed much.
Right. It's gotten bigger. It's gotten more powerful.
It's gotten wider, longer, lower, and more powerful. That's it.
Yeah.
The formula is still the same.
Right.
I think this is a good topic to kind of finish on, if you will.
Sure.
Is the formula of the sports car. A lot of people think the formula for the sports car is engine in the front, gearbox in the middle, power to the back, rear-wheel drive. I think Porsche has it.
Yep.
That rear-engined, the 911 has almost perfect weight distribution. The 718, as they call it now, has 50-50 weight distribution. It just works, and it stood the test of time. Mid-engine cars.
Right.
Caught on in the late 80s, early 90s, kind of went away. And now the Corvette, the America's best-selling sports car, is a mid-engine.
Yep.
And man, does it look good doing it.
Fantastic, yeah.
But original,
they also, it looks like a Ferrari. If you're not paying attention, you'd be like, oh, that's a Ferrari.
Whoa, what is that? If you don't know, If you don't know, now you know, homie.
Right.
But yeah, so it's, to me, the formula of the sports car, the original formula, was engine front, gearbox in the middle, power to the back. I think Porsche did it better.
Yeah.
It's a better driving car. I recently got to drive a 2-year-old, so 2018, so I've been 991, I think. I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm no Magnus Walker, but I got to drive a 2-year-old Porsche 911 Carrera S.
Ooh.
And it was driving nirvana.
Really?
I got to drive it up to Moonlight Basin, this road like this,
Ooh.
up through Big Sky, and it was divine.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
It was divine.
Was it manual or?
No, it was a PDK is what they call it, but there's a German name for it. It's about that long.
Sure.
No wonder they call it a PDK.
Right.
Because it's fucking long. Mm-hmm. But it was, to me, driving nirvana.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been blessed to drive a lot of fun cars. And nothing puts a smile on my face quite like that.
Like a Porsche.
Like that flat six. Because the S is naturally aspirated. The Carrera S is naturally aspirated.
Right. Which I don't know.
I think it's a 4-liter now, but
yeah, I don't mind the natural aspirated route. You know.
I prefer it now. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I think
she liked it.
She likes it.
Whoever that laugh was. I'm not mad that this was a car episode. A fully car episode. I think that we're going to see, again, with this transition, not to full circle it, but this transition of, moving to electric and moving to a sustainable car that's not destroying the environment.
Sure.
I'm interested to see what happens to the sports car.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested.
Because I don't think it's going to stay.
Sports car? Mm-mm. I'm curious to see because Porsche developed a synthetic gasoline.
Yeah, but it's not, they'll never do it until after 2035 because it's not cost effective. And because the oil companies will block it.
Right.
They'll do whatever they can. I think, and this is just a theory, and I don't get into conspiracy theories much, but Audi developed a synthetic gas in the late 80s.
Did they? I didn't know about that.
They had the formula. And this is hearsay. I've not seen the article. What?
The guy got offed, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mysteriously died. Mm-hmm. So there is that. You know what I mean? There is that one comma.
Because the Tesla's not a sports car.
No, it's not a sports car. No.
The Polestar 1, electric Volvo special sports car. That's a sports car. But they haven't put it in production.
Right.
Because they can't.
Right. Because
it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird future for sure.
I'm interested to see what happens with cars. Because we're at now the crossroads where car manufacturers they're going to have to abide by that.
Right.
Or they're going to go by the wayside. And I don't want to see. I've said this before on this podcast. I've said this to you in private. There's no better sound than a vintage Ferrari V12. The 3.8 liter, or 3.8 liter in like the 65, the 250 GTO.
Phenomenal. Glorious sound.
It goes from low end to like an F1 car. All in one stretch. All in one rev.
Yeah. So good.
But to me, that's going to go away, and I don't know if I want to live in a petrol world like that.
Non-petrol world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and it's there are like great. I mean, like the Tesla Plaid, bananas.
It's nuts.
What's the one that James crashed, or what's
the Rimac?
The Rimac, yeah.
Which they're making more prototypes. Elon Musk in a podcast with Joe Rogan, the last one he did, the Plaid. But if you put your foot down, by the time you're through the intersection, you're doing 60 miles an hour.
I went to the drag races in Red Lodge last month, and John Bonner, he has a Tesla Plaid now.
Does he?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He had a grudge match with one of my friends who has a fully built drag prepped Fox body Mustang, right? And
those
the
are built for
Tesla
that.
walked that thing, and
you can't
AC
when you have
on, like everything.
Yeah.
You know?
No, he was probably playing a video game.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wasn't even driving the damn thing.
Exactly. And this Mustang's stripped, you know, it's like all these huge fittings
Big old
everywhere,
motor.
big huge
Bored out.
tires.
Yeah.
It's made to go
built
fast.
for drag.
And this Tesla just like
He drove that home, didn't he?
Yeah, he drove it
He didn't
home.
drive that Fox body home.
No.
No. He trailered it.
Yes.
Because he had to.
Exactly.
It's unreal to me. I'm interested. I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm not optimistic.
Yeah, I'm not either. I think I have a sneaking suspicion that something's going to happen with a synthetic gasoline.
It has to.
It has, yeah.
It has to.
Because otherwise, we're going to have all these cars. You know, what are third world countries going to run off of?
Nothing.
You know what I mean? Like,
No. And somebody told me once that the next commodity that would be like an epidemic, if you will, is going to be gas and water.
yeah.
And it's so true.
And if the whole automobile manufacturing, all the cars on the road are electric, we're going to run into an energy crisis. You know, because
we can't produce that much electricity. That's what people don't get. And I was actually going to touch base on this right before you did, so I'm glad you brought it up. We're at a point now where if we just switched over to electric cars, we would not have the power grid to sustain it.
Right, and that's I brought that
Nobody
up on a few episodes ago when you
did.
Yeah, the president of Toyota said that if they switched over right now, they would have enough energy in Tokyo, in all of Japan.
And Tokyo's one of the biggest cities in the world.
Yeah, for 1 year. They'd run out of energy in a year. You know, and that's
the same people who are lobbying for electric cars are lobbying against wind and solar. And that's the only way we're going to get this done. Sure. Water, wind, and solar. We can't electricity doesn't exist unless we create it.
Right. And that's exactly it.
I'm scared for the automobile industry, bro.
Yep.
Like,
I think synthetics are going to.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I also see.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, hold on a minute. My throat dried up. I also see, this is just stupidity, but I'm going to prophesize this.
Go ahead.
I see a comeback of the two-stroke.
A two-stroke?
Where we have synthetic oil.
Yeah?
Synthetic gasoline. Mm-hmm. I see a comeback of the two-stroke.
Interesting.
And small cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll be able to get premix at the pump.
Yeah. I mean, people are putting Hayabusa motors in Volkswagens and making more power.
Mini Coopers.
Yeah, and Mini Coopers.
Dude, that makes a Mini Cooper. You put a Hayabusa motor in a Mini Cooper, it makes it fucking lethal. Mm-hmm. Those things are fucking nuts.
Yes.
And I don't care how explicit I just got there. They're fucking nuts. Mm-hmm. I've watched YouTube videos. They're nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it can happen. Mm-hmm. You know. But yeah, it's interesting.
I think these companies that make these small in-town cars are going to go to synthetic gas and oil two-strokes. Mm-hmm. I do believe that.
Which that'd be great. I mean,
because an electric car is going to cost money because all the electronics that went into it.
Sure.
You get a two-stroke Citroen, $10,000.
Yeah.
All day.
Absolutely. And what an easy engine swap.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, no, it'll come that way.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to make them that way because it's cheap.
Yeah. So you just like call buddy, hey, will you help me lift this out of this?
Yeah,
thing
my
real quick?
Honda,
You know?
my Honda Civic and my Honda riding lawnmower, same engine.
Yeah, basically. So good.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, I don't want to be. I don't know. I try not to think about it too much because it gets me sad, you know. But
I think that when you look at the modern internal combustion engine, to think and for how we are as humans, you and me, being petrol heads to the core.
Sure.
Very different styles, but petrol heads to the core. It is very sad. Mm-hmm. It's a sad day.
Yeah. But there has. I mean, I just can't believe that it's. I cannot believe that it's either electric or nothing. You know what I mean?
It can't be.
There has to be something in between.
They want it to be, but those are politicians, not engineers.
That's true, and not car enthusiasts.
No, and politicians are not
sane.
We don't need to go. That's a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other podcast.
Whole other podcast. I'll tell the story, and I think it's a good time to end too. But I was in Big Sky and I was talking to a 72-year-old war veteran, Vietnam vet. Really, I think he's 72. He's in his 70s. Really nice guy.
Yeah.
And he, Republican, diehard Republican.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, what are you? And I said, I'm a moderate independent.
Yeah.
And he said, what does that mean? He says, I vote on the people, I vote on the issues and the people that get them done.
Yeah.
And a 70-something Vietnam vet looked at me and said, you can do that? That's the whole point of democracy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like that. Like it doesn't have to be either electric or gas. There has to be something like in between.
No,
You know what I mean?
there has to be a hybrid.
You're right.
There has to be.
Yeah, there just has to be.
And I think a synthetic gas is going to show up pretty quick.
Yeah, it just has to. Enough people getting behind it.
Well, I mean, if not, hypothetically, if not, we're going to see the greatest die-off of car manufacturers ever.
Yeah. I mean, in some way, like in third world countries, like I said, you know, like in small parts of China, you know, like people have to get around somehow.
Can you imagine not being able to get diesel?
Yeah. Or any gas. Yeah, like what happens then, you know? So it has something.
What a mess.
Yeah, something has to happen. Other cultural things. What are you listening to these days?
It's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to a lot of Lake Street Dive lately. I've been listening to a lot of Childish Gambino.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Donald Glover. I've been listening to a lot of Eminem's old stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I've been listening to a lot. It's weird. I've been like a hip hop. I've been listening to a lot of like old school, like Biggie Smalls, old school Tupac, old school Snoop,
Nice.
NWA. And on a completely different note, I've been listening to a lot of Madeleine Pirot, who takes like, she's French and she takes like the standards and does them in French, and I fucking love that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. What about you?
You know the Future Beat Show, DJ Complexion. He got on with BBC Radio 1. They have a whole app that's like dedicated to music and like.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Yeah, it's cool. I downloaded it.
Nice.
And he has a weekly show called Future Wave, and it is
really so he's mainstream now.
Good.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's so good because it's artists that he can play, you know, as opposed to sometimes like he can't play certain things on the Future Beat Show. So it's really interesting, you know. It's a very interesting take on music. It's about an hour, but he does it in like the Future Beat sort of style, you know.
Where he just kind of cruises into it, out of it, into it, out of it.
Dude, it is great.
I'll have to look it up.
It's so good. I was listening to it while I was setting this stuff up. It's phenomenal. And I think there's maybe 10 or so episodes out right now, but every one of them is just hit so hard. So
that's cool.
Yeah, and I usually transition more like into like more folky stuff during the winter, you know. So I've been listening to some more of that as fall's been approaching. So
it's coming.
One thing that I've realized, we don't prep for winter anymore. When's the last time you prepared for winter?
I get my coats dry cleaned, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, but I mean, like getting you know, your attire put together, getting, you know, your house put together, getting your cars put together, you know.
No, you don't.
Yeah. So
some people in Montana, in more rural Montana, they go and get wood and stuff. So they do, but
yeah.
I see what you mean.
And I've realized that I don't do that in my life. So this year I'm starting to do like winter prep. So I got like the tires for the Yaris, you know.
Yeah.
Got those mounted, they're ready.
You got a Yaris?
Yes.
I just wanted to say that again because I love it. I love that.
Yeah, so I have those wheels sitting in my house. They're all mounted. They're ready to go. They're balanced. You know, so when snow hits, put them on. You know, I'm going to order a hoodie. You know, I'm going to order like my winter stuff. You know, I'm going to get like my projects put together.
I bought a brand new wool winter coat at Montana Vintage today.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think there's some goodness in like prepping for the next season. You know.
I think it's intentional.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which is what we're about.
Right. But I think,
and I learned that from you, being intentional. I did.
And I'm glad, because it's fun. You know, it's fun when you're like, okay, like you're looking forward, like, okay, like I can do this, but how do I do this really, really well? You know, like winter's coming, but how do I do winter really well? You know?
That's a really good point. I mean, back in the day, you had to.
Right.
You know?
But even still, we should, you know? I mean, there's things that like, okay, like I'm going to order fenders for the Datsun here pretty soon, you know, because like that's a project that I want to work on for the winter, you know? So like kind of getting all these things together, like, okay, when winter hits, this is how I'm going to function throughout winter. You know what I mean? I'm going to turn on my Xbox, you know, I've been saving up. Yeah, Forza, which is going to come out soon, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah. Horizon's 5.
Horizon 5, yeah.
Yeah. Forza Motorsport 8 will probably be shortly after that.
So I'm saving that stuff for this winter, you know, different series on Netflix, you know, different.
I think it's the prepping for winter. I think it's more about being intentional than anything else. I think it comes back to intentionality. Back then they did it out of necessity. Now I think we should do it out of just wanting to be true.
Yeah.
And wanting to be intentional.
But also like wanting to live your best life.
Yeah.
You know, because
I'm like in Big Sky, everything's seasonal.
Right.
And so I'm prepping a winter menu right now. So in a way, I'm prepping for winter as well, and for my job. That's interesting. I never thought about it like that until right now.
Right. Yeah, and I hadn't thought about it until this spring, or I guess winter. I was kind of looking forward to like summer and like what I was going to do, and then I just had this epiphany moment. I was like, well, I don't get ready for winter. You know, maybe I should start getting ready for winter. You know, and now I'm like looking forward to enjoying this winter because I have this, that, and the third kind of lined up for it. You know what I mean? Whereas like when winter hits, I'm not like, oh no, winter's here. I'm like, sweet, summer's over. I did what I needed to do, and now I'm going to do all these really great things in winter.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Everybody that I've talked to about this, they're like, I've never thought about it like that before. You know? So I think it's something culturally, at least like in the people that I know, that it's just not a thing for us. So.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
I never, see, you've changed my belief on it.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that.
Because for us as like people that enjoy culture, which is what Culture Beast is about.
Yeah.
Like what things can we do this winter that are still part of like the things that we enjoy culturally, but that we can enjoy in different facets this winter, you know? Because this podcast this winter will be like, oh, well, you know, what are we doing for winter tires? What are we doing for these winter drinks, you know, or like these winter coffees, or these winter breakfasts or foods, or you know, what music are we listening to that matches that mood? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's a different conversation, a different season.
That's
like
crazy.
Why not do it the best that we can?
Sometimes I wish you weren't so smart. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, son of a gun, he's done it again.
It's all the Lord, man. I blame it all on the Lord.
I know.
So.
And that's something I wanted to touch base on too, is that, you know, Culture Beast took a hiatus. And, you know, Paul actually came to Big Sky. And, 2 days ago. Yesterday. Yep. Holy smokes.
Yep, surprise.
Yeah, and we had a good conversation about Culture Beast and the direction, because, you know, when I moved, it became increasingly harder to do it. And you know, I now have a job, this is plural, that allows me to get back more. But we want to not just have it here. We want to be intentional, and we want to start building Culture Beast the way we wanted to in the beginning. And so I think with intentionality and prepping for winter and then the season after, you know, you're going to start seeing a different Culture Beast. And maybe you don't want to talk about this as much this time, maybe next time, but in a couple weeks. But Culture Beast is going to kind of, you're still going to get us sitting here with our cigars and our drinks talking about culture, but you're going to get a lot more of other things too coming up.
Right.
And I can promise you that we're being very diligent and we're being very intentional about those things. But we want to see Culture Beast evolve, not only a podcast, but a vlog, a travel aspect, you know, car meets, car museums, car meccas.
Right.
You know, coffee shops, restaurants, booze, all of it. And we are I mean, we've kind of really rededicated ourselves to making that a reality.
Right.
And so I'm excited for that because we also have to prep for those things. And they are seasonal.
Right.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And I tossed out the idea to you yesterday of, shooting for April, to be our first vlog, somewhere close, somewhere that like we can go carve out 3 days and go somewhere, and just really sink our teeth into that place.
Yeah.
And
that's what originally we had wanted Culture Beast to be.
Yeah.
Originally.
Yep. And through this last winter of just kind of figuring out like what life looks like, and I'm changing positions at my job to focus more on that, to have more free time,
And I'm going to be, with my job, I'm going to be more, once the program is in place, I can be more hands off. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're both committed to it, I think is huge. I'm excited for what's to come for Culture and for Culture Beast. I'm excited for what's to come with how this broadens and what that looks like, because we don't know.
Sure.
My goal, one of my goals is, one of your goals is to have a vlog, a consistent one. One of my goals is to have a magazine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd love to have, because I love to write, and writing is one of my passions. I love to have that intentionality with that.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see some of the things that we're recommitting ourselves to.
Sure. Yep.
So.
Yeah, and I think like it's going to be a slow burn. I think it's going to be something that develops itself over.
Because we want it to work.
Yeah, and be intentional, and a lot of that takes a lot of money.
And time.
A lot of time.
A lot of time.
Yeah, so I could definitely see. There's just so much that.
There's so much we want to do.
The thing that I really like has changed my perspective of Culture Beast is really taking the attention off of ourselves and putting the attention onto the things that we really love, because there's people like you and I that love cigars, that love alcohol, but they don't really know like how to enjoy those things.
And we want to showcase that.
Yeah, exactly. And we are the liaisons to people understanding more about cars or alcohol or coffee or fashion or whatsoever.
Music, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that we can just be a really big blessing to people in that regard.
I agree.
And like we can have fun doing it, and we can like be a true, authentic representation of ourselves and who God's created us to be.
Absolutely.
And like help people enter into those more fun, fulfilling things in their lives.
Yep.
It's like going to Cincinnati, like. Okay, like what's going on in Cincinnati?
What's going on? Yeah.
Is there a coffee shop that's struggling?
I hope so.
Yeah, is there, like, is there a speakeasy in Cincinnati that nobody knows about? Is there a cigar company in Cincinnati?
I don't think so, but yes.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect to be a cigar company in Billings, Montana.
But there is.
Yeah, but there is.
There's one in Dillon. That's the cool thing. There's one in There's one in Billings now. There's one in Dillon. You have these.
There's a cigar company in Dillon?
Yeah. Cattle Baron.
What?
It's out of Dillon.
Huh.
Brian Massard's out of Dillon. Gorgeous Vodka, too. Same guy.
Wow.
We're seeing this, and especially since 2020 happened, we're seeing this renaissance of people that just decide to start their own business. And this is one of them. This is an example. This came out of 2020.
Yeah.
And I want to showcase that.
Exactly. And it's us turning the camera and the attention to Alan Hodges. Yep. What are you doing with this? Or the folks in Dillon. How are you doing this?
Yeah. All the way to vineyards in Washington, or car meets in Cincinnati,
right.
Or cocktail lounge, Death and Co. in New York.
Right.
It's really, really cool.
Dude, I went to, I don't know if you saw my Instagram story yesterday, but I went to Bozeman for a work meeting. I was driving around the neighborhoods, looking at different houses because I want to.
You're telling me about that.
I want to design this house kind of in that style. And I'm driving, and I just see this garage door open, and it says Partner Coffee. And
I saw the story.
Yeah, and I was like, Partner Coffee, and I just like whipped around, pulled up. And I walk into this garage. This guy has a Bronco, 70s Bronco, sitting in the garage, and he's built an espresso machine to fit in the back of this Bronco that he just pulls out and serves coffee in his garage.
That's wicked.
Yes, and it's great company. He uses Flat Track Coffee, a company out of Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And
Flat tire, you said?
Flat Track.
Flat track.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I bought a bag of Peru from him, had this morning. Phenomenal.
Is it good?
Sweet. It's great. But just those things. And I talked to like other people that are in coffee in Bozeman. I'm like, do you know about this? No, I have no idea this exists. You know, and it's for me like that was a very, very cool experience that I got to have at that guy's place. You know.
Yeah.
And nice dude. You know, makes great quality
Nice.
coffee.
His mustache. He has a nice mustache.
Yes, he does.
He does a really great mustache.
And that's what I mean. Like I don't need that recognition. I want him to have that. You know, I want him to be in the spotlight. You know
and I
what
love
mean?
that because that's what Culture Beast is all about. It's about other people doing things and how it influences us as a culture.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that's why I brought this up, and I wanted to kind of be how we ended.
Sure.
Is that we have this? We're kind of Culture Beast is great, but we're just turning the ship a couple of degrees to really showcase other people that are taking the culture by storm.
Mm-hmm.
And Partner Coffee is one of those.
Yeah. Which nobody knows about.
No, I had no idea it was
wonderful.
existed.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I want to go.
I want so many people to go. That's where he's like, I have so much business. I need to make a brick and mortar. You know, I need to do some. You know, I need to
No,
expand,
dude, just build a thing around your Bronco. Shit.
Yeah, seriously. So cool.
Well, we say all that to say that we're gonna have some really cool stuff coming up for you. Mm-hmm. We're gonna have some really intentional things coming up for you. And for my part, it was really hard to get up here, and that's not going to be a thing anymore. We're going to be very intentional about this. We're going to be very, consistent with this. And it's going to be a little bit different Culture Beast, and we really hope you come along for the ride.
Yes.
We really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, on that.
Disappointment. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
No
Just
way.
kidding. Yeah. Real quick, just some news. Jeremy Clark's the Clarkson's Farm got approved for a second season.
Oh.
It's filming.
Okay.
Have you watched it yet?
It's on Netflix, yeah?
It's on Prime.
Prime, yeah.
You haven't watched it. That means you haven't watched it. It is, I think, Jeremy Clarkson, who is a spirit animal, I love. He's been doing Top Gear for over 20 years. I think this is his finest work.
Really? Wow.
In other news, not to be another Top Gear thing, but James May is, he did Our Man in Japan for Prime. He's now doing Our Man in the USA.
Nuh-uh.
Is filming. Yep.
That's amazing.
And Richard has sold part of his car collection to fund. He's going to do a Clarkson Farm-esque style reality show. He is opening a restoration shop.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, he is.
Wow.
And they're going to film it like
That's
they did Clarkson's Farm.
amazing.
He actually sold part of his collection to make it happen.
Jeez.
Yep.
Dude, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
So, I struggle with...
They're starting to do their own thing and be intentional about it because they know, and they've all come out and said it this last year. They said, we can't do this forever.
Yeah.
We're old and we're tired.
Yeah.
They've been, and they gave us a lot of great years, and I think that's what's important.
Absolutely. And it's great to see them do
Things they love.
Yeah, and then...
He had no idea he was going to love farming, and he loves it.
That's amazing.
You should, when you watch it, you'll understand. It's the craziest show I've ever seen in my life. Because nothing he does, he is an utter fucking moron. He is. He's a moron. And he has people around him who are actually in the farm community that tell him he's a moron. But he loves it.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of manage my subscriptions every year, and Prime was one of those things I'll restart that in the winter when I have more things that I want to watch. I can pay that.
I'll give you just so you can watch it, I'll give you my login. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So.
I'd appreciate that.
Well, on that note.
Yeah. Solid.
Yeah. Thank you for watching as always. Thank you for listening.
All right. Right now we're going to do this at least once a month, just in the reality of trying to figure out consistency. And I think, it's fun doing stuff every week, but I think eventually next year, a year down the road.
We're going to have a lot of stuff
Right.
that's going to be coming out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, the cool part about growing, too, is adding people to the team, adding experiences. It's going to be really cool. And figuring out what Culture Beast ultimately is going to look
Absolutely.
like. And I can't wait.
Yeah, I really think it'd be fun to figure out a third host for us to have, during the podcasts. For us to kind of some of his...
More of a round robin.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be in the works. I was actually thinking about 2.
Oh, okay.
But I agree. I also think that changing locations is a great idea. There's just a lot of cool stuff that we have rattling around in our brain.
Yeah.
More his brain. Mine just occasionally pops up with a good idea and then goes back into the chaos that is my life. But it's always great to see you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah. And
This have a conversation and catch up on our cultural stuff.
This is Culture Beast.
This is Culture Beast.
Amen to that.
Amen. Out.